Get started. I know there's a few folks still in the social hall, but we'll just, let them come in when they're ready. Huh? Yeah, the topic was intense. Yeah, oh good. I'm glad to hear that. All right, so great. I'm gonna play the first note for our opening song, and the lyrics are up here on the slide. Fantastic. So good morning, everyone. I am Megan Mancier, and I'll be presenting today's service along with Gregg Brownell. Tina and Steve are providing technical assistance, so thank you to them. Please be aware we are recording this service, and it will be posted on our YouTube page, but for privacy, we do not record during Joys and Concerns. Also, we save announcements for the end of the service after extinguishing the chalice. Also, today we have a special follow-up gathering. After service, we are going to have a grief and loss support group facilitated by our good friend Valerie, who's here with us today. Thank you to you, Valerie. So the grief and loss support group will start at 12:15. It will go for an hour, and this is a one-time thing, but and of course it's connected with the theme of our service today, but I do encourage people to think about whether that is something they would like to do more regularly at MVUUC, and to let me know if that is the case. So, we gather today to foster our understanding of our place in the universe, embracing the worth and dignity of all, supporting justice, equity, and peace in our world, accepting one another as we search for meaning, and respecting the connectedness of all life. For those of you who are new to us, please note that we are a diverse group with a wide variety of interests and beliefs, and therefore our services are varied in format, tone, and topic. We encourage you to attend or view several services to gain a good understanding of our congregation. If you want to start receiving our weekly email of MVUUC news, please write your contact information on the blue information card found on the pocket. Thank you, Robin. Found on the pocket on each chair back, and there is a box on the greeting table in the front entryway where you can deposit this card after service. So let's all take a few moments to greet our neighbors. All right, now moving on to the lighting of the chalice. The chalice will be lit today by Bob Rex. Yay, Bob. Thank you, Bob. Please join me in reading the words provided for the lighting of the chalice. We light this flame to remind us love is the center. As we grow and connect, mature and deepen, love remains the center. When the light of truth burns all else away, love remains. So now is the time for reading today is a challenge. Now is the time for sharing of joys, concerns, and milestones. So before we do our first hymn, I thought it might be nice to bring back our breathing music tradition. This is something that Ted Goldman started, and we haven't done in a while. And I can't play piano like Ted, but I can give us some meditative sounds. So maybe for the next minute or two, I'll just play some music for you to breathe to, and then I'm going to stop, and we'll have about 30 seconds of silence, and then I will hit the chime one last time to bring us back. Okay? So feel free to close your eyes if that's how you meditate. Otherwise, just relax. Okay, and now it's time for our first musical selection. This is hymn number 18, What Wondrous Love Is This? The lyrics are in your gray hymnal, so does everybody have one? Okay, hymn number 18, and I'll get the piano queued up. Here we go.
For Once Then, Something by Robert Frost. Others taunt me with having knelt at well curbs, always wrong to the light. So never seeing deeper down in the well than where the water gives me back in a shining surface picture, me, myself, in the summer, heaven, godlike, looking out of a wreath of fern and cloud puffs. Once, when trying with chin against a well curb, I discerned, as I thought, beyond the picture, through the picture, a something white, uncertain, something more of the depths, and then I lost it. Water came to rebuke the too clear water. One drop fell from a fern, and lo, a ripple shook whatever it was lay there at bottom, blurred it, blotted it out. What was the whiteness? Truth? A pebble of quartz. For once, then, something. Okay, it's not a video. It should just be a link. That's okay.
You're going to see all our secrets now.
Yeah.
Pay no attention to the man,
Right.
It is not there.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's okay. We can skip it. It's okay.
Apologies.
Okay. Moving right along. Saying goodbye to loved ones once they've passed is always hard. We're filled with grief and loss, ruled by emotion, confronting the reality we all face. This is a story about two such experiences and the unexpected help I was offered, help that left me wondering at the mystery we are living through. Whenever occurrences like I'm going to describe happen to me, I look at them through two different lenses. The spiritual lens, which I see as coming from my heart, the intuitive part of me, and the rational scientific lens, which seeks a physical explanation. All this is against a backdrop of realizing it's the experience that's most important, not the explanation. This story involves family, my parents, Dot and Don. Here they are on January 26th, 1947, celebrating my father's birthday. They were both practical, highly intelligent people. Mom had to leave school at age 14 to help support her 4 siblings in a single-parent household. She later worked on an assembly line building torpedoes during World War II, and later still took in washing to get us through the lean years after I was born. She cherished her family and the home she kept for us. When I was young, she cleaned our entire house every day, including the baseboards. I especially remember the baseboards. Ours were painted a glossy white. I can still see her as she worked on her knees, scrubbing the baseboards, each one every day. I can smell the cleaner, the tang of the pine scent catching the back of my throat. The whole house, every day. She was protecting the family she thought she could never have, and the home it was such a struggle to buy. She built and maintained the ark that carried me through childhood. Also, she had that high magic of effortlessly being with people and making them feel comfortable. She could go into a store with 5 people in it and leave with 6 new friends. Here are Dot and Don a year later, in the winter of 1948, after being introduced to me. I'm always amazed at how they've matured in just a year. Something carefree has been balanced with the quiet joy of responsibility. Dad finished high school with an IQ of 130, but could never afford college. He worked as a printer and loved it until lead poisoning forced him to stop. He found a job as a salesman selling Nabisco cookies, which he did for 37 years. It matched his gregarious nature well. He served in World War II. Fighting in North Africa, he was wounded and then assigned to the Armed Forces newspaper, the Stars and Stripes, where he worked as a fixer, making the way smooth for Stars and Stripes staff in Italy and later Germany. He was in the hospital tent when Patton slapped and berated a mentally broken soldier because the soldier didn't have a physical wound but was away from the front lines. He got to know Ernie Pyle, the storied American journalist. He watched a dead Mussolini sway in the wind, killed and hung from a lamppost by Italians freed from fascism. He entered a concentration camp a day after it was liberated and always said the same thing about it. The bodies were stacked like firewood. Firewood. There were tears underneath his words. They weren't allowed to flow. He had a gentle heart which he did not place on display, yet it drove his actions. Even as a child, I knew it. He was always there for my mother and me. Being a father was crucial to him, and he used everything he'd learned about himself to be the best father he could be in our family of 3. They were both lifelong practicing Catholics, with a faith born of tradition, practice, and necessity. They never talked about their faith or spiritual things. Religion was what you did, and sometimes it helped you get through life. The great mysteries were met with a sigh or silence and a hope that someone knew more than you did. They were too busy to speculate about anything else. Here are Dot and Don later in life, in 1985, and here are 2 parts of their story. In 1992, I'm living in Ohio with my wife, Nancy, and our 2 young children, when my parents moved from Connecticut to be near their grandchildren. Within 5 years, my mother is diagnosed with mesothelioma. The doctors can predict with some accuracy how long she has, about 6 months. She chooses to face it at home. Initially, my father cares for her. He's in his early 80s, and after about 3 months, it's too much for him. We move my parents in with us. The disease progresses as we were told it would. The hospice workers who support us explained to me what to expect at the end, what signs to watch for that will tell me Mom's about to pass. She's in a hospital bed in a room down a short hallway from the kitchen, a room behind our garage. Across the room, opposite her bed, there's a twin bed where my father sleeps. Several days before what turns out to be the end, he can't do it anymore. It's taken a terrible toll on him. He was in the room when my Aunt Kay died, and he's haunted by her gasping for breath during a hard death. He asks if I'll sleep in the room from then on. I do. 5 months, 3 weeks, and 2 days after she's diagnosed, the signs that her time is almost up begin on the morning of March 19th, 1997. She's unconscious. I monitor her all day. Her body is closing down. The extremities of her body, her hands and feet, then her arms and legs, grow cold as her system concentrates energy toward the heart to try to stay alive for as long as possible. In the early afternoon, the end is close. I gather the family. We stand around her, hold hands, tell her goodbye, and pray. For her, the veil between life and death drops away, and then she's gone. I call hospice. They come, followed by people who take her to the funeral home. Filled with grief, I try to comfort Nancy and the children. By nighttime, I'm frantic. Repeatedly, I have the same thought. If I can just know she's okay. If I can just know wherever she is, she's okay. Just a sign. Waves of grief pound at me. Waves that carry that thought over and over and over. As a way to say goodbye, I decide to sleep for one more night in the room where she died. I go to bed about 11 and toss and turn for hours, constantly assaulted by that thought. Finally, I drop off into a dreamless sleep. Just after 5 a.m., I'm startled awake by a sound coming from the garage, a sound I can't identify. I go to the bedroom door. It leads into the hall. I take one step out of the room, and on my right is the door into the garage. I open it. The sound is coming from the garage door. I watch it rise about a foot, stop, pause, then close. It then rises again, stops, pauses, then closes. It does this 5 times, then rests. As I watch this, my mind is calm, still. After it closes for the last time, a flood of relief passes through me, a surge of relaxation, and a thought surfaces. She's okay. I've just been told she's okay. Never before had the garage door done that. It never does it again. Later that day, I check the door. As far as I can tell, everything looks okay. I think maybe it's a sensor. Must be a sensor, something somewhere in the mechanism. Just as I convince myself of this, a gentle laugh bounces through me, accompanied by another thought. My mind, providing some comic relief, or perhaps still searching for meaning, offers maybe a highly evolved sensor triggered by a connection to the other side of the veil. And then this happens. Dad stays with us after Mom's death. Always outgoing and friendly, he attempts to be the same, even as he grieves. He feels her loss deeply and meets his grief in his own way. Sometimes with tears, other times with stories. He begins to isolate himself. His whole life, he's had a desire to get out of the house and see people, talk to people every day. That's gone. He's not interested in anything, won't do anything to be with people, refuses activities at church or the senior center. In his early 80s, he begins to slow down at an alarming rate. Mentally, he's functioning, but the isolation and grief are crushing him. He's doing things that aren't him. There's an incident while he's driving that forces him to give up his license. This is hard because driving has always been a pivotal part of his life, from covering the many miles of his sales route throughout southwestern Connecticut to the everyday norm of his car as a sign of independence, of freedom. A few days later, I find a hole in the back of his closet. When we talk about it, he tells me he was so frustrated he punched the wall. He continues to go downhill. Nancy and I both work and are concerned about him being home alone all day. We talk with him about it. Finally, we decide to investigate assisted care. He'll be with people in a community. We find what seems like a good place. It's nice, and he agrees to try it. Dad goes into assisted care. Not a decision I will ever be comfortable with, but one that seemed right at the time. Within a month, things change for the better. He's talking to people, starting to make, if not yet friends, at least acquaintances. He's more energetic. He tells stories about the people there and how things work, how he helps out. Everything is going well, until the storm. On New Year's Eve, 1998, we talk on the phone. Dad mentions he's not feeling well. We talk to his nurse, who says it's a cold and not to worry. I say to be safe, I'll be down to take him to his doctor as soon as possible. Unfortunately, on January 2nd, the blizzard of 1999 hits and cars are forbidden on the roads. When the travel ban lifts, I get an appointment for him with his doctor. There's a portico at the front of the assisted care building. When I pull up, he's on a bench to the right of the door. Next to him is a suitcase. He's in good spirits. There's a settled feeling, a feeling of contentment about him. I ask about the suitcase. The doctor's going to put me in the hospital. Dad, we're just going for an appointment. We're just being safe. The nurses say you're fine. It's only a cold. You don't need the suitcase. The doctor's going to put me in the hospital. Dad, no, I need the suitcase. Now, let's get going. 3 hours later, I'm checking him into the hospital. The doctor took an x-ray and found pneumonia. They start treatment. A few days later, he's tolerating the treatment well and things are looking up. That night, I get a 3 a.m. phone call. He's had a heart attack and is in the intensive care unit. Within a few days, he's improving. We're told to make a full recovery and we should find somewhere he can go for rehabilitation. On Saturday, when they're going to remove his breathing tube, we stop at a place 5 minutes from home to get information about rehab. While there, I get a phone call to go back to intensive care as soon as possible. At the hospital, he's still intubated. His 83-year-old body has crashed, given up. The machinery is all that's keeping him alive. We talk with the nurse and his doctor. They walk us through the readings on the machines. He can stay on artificial support, or it can be turned off. My call. If it's turned off, within a few minutes, he'll pass. In reality, except for the machinery, he's already gone. I talk with Nancy and decide we need to let him go. We say our goodbyes, and when we're ready, they stop the artificial support. Within a few minutes, he's gone. Over the next several days, I go through the rituals of death. A wake, a Catholic Mass, the burial. I grieve and want to know that wherever he is, he's okay. About 2 weeks later, there's a call from one of his assisted care nurses. Whenever someone there passes, there's a meeting of staff, family, and any residents who want to attend. A meeting to remember and honor the person they've lost. Everyone takes a turn recounting memories and impressions of the deceased. When Nancy and I arrive at the facility, the community room is set up with 15 chairs arranged in a circle. When we begin, I'm surprised how well people have come to know him in the year or so he's been there. It's hard to keep the tears back. Then Marnie, one of the nurses, asks me, "Did he tell you about the lady?" "The lady?" "Yes, the woman he saw the morning you picked him up to go to the doctor." "No, I don't know anything about a lady." "Oh," she says, "you need to hear this." In a soft voice, Marnie recounts the following. "About an hour before you got here, your dad was ready and came to sit in the community room and wait for you. I noticed him when he sat down. Maybe a half hour later, he walked over to me, beaming, and said, 'Did you see her?' 'See who?' 'The lady.' 'No, what lady?' Then," says Marnie, "he told me what happened. I was sitting over there, waiting for my son, when I looked up. Standing in front of me was the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. The kindest blue eyes, deep blue eyes, so gentle. And her hair, golden. People say golden hair, but this was a gold that gave off a kind of light, a light that surrounded her. I just stared. Then she smiled and spoke. I heard her, but I could feel her words too. It was something new, a different kind of hearing. She said, 'It's going to be all right.' Just that. Then repeated it. 'It's going to be all right.' I watched her, sat there, felt something. Then I heard a noise from the door and looked away for a second. When I looked back, she was gone. As Marnie finishes, I freeze in place, overwhelmed. There's a sense of peace coming from her that says, this is real, this happened. My grief welcomes the story. Hearing it takes me somewhere and eases the pain. For a moment, I have a flash of anger and think, why didn't he tell me about this? It passes quickly. I realize if he knew what was coming, whatever was coming, he accepted it and would want to spare me from knowing, would want to let things take their course. Plus, somehow, the simple words he used to describe what happened, to describe the lady, puts me in the frame with him, seeing her. I have a clear image of what she looks like, and it's comforting. In the days that follow, I consider, did Dad have a mini stroke? A hallucination? A dream? Did he have a visitation from some being offering comfort? And I wonder, does it matter? Or is what matters that he got something he needed at a crucial moment, and later, so did I. I believe the experience is more important than the explanation. I believe that when we have such experiences, we each construct our own meaning through heart or mind, or through heart and mind, to explain them. I also believe that both explanations, the spiritual and the scientific, can be true at the same time. That the physical world can be the delivery system for what we think of as spiritual. It took a while for me to realize how similar these two occurrences are, and that each addresses the same part of my grief. I just wanted to know, as I was saying goodbye, as we were saying goodbye, that wherever my parents were, they were okay. I'll end with a different experience of saying goodbye. It's a music video by one of my oldest friends, Larry Ahern, whose father, Martin, was a highly regarded professional artist, a watercolorist. Here's the song Larry wrote for his departed father.
Brushstroke watercolor gray, no blue in the sky today. Sitting in that old blue chair, reading and watching the world out there. And I'm watching the window, watching you. We're both looking for someone we once knew. Goodbye, little boy blue. World passed you by, it wasn't waiting for you. Brushstroke water, color blue. I've been thinking a lot about you. A shade of green and yellow too. Some of our dreams die and some come true. You can look at the past, but please don't stare. I've been to places, believe me, I've been there. Goodbye, little boy blue. World passed you by, and wasn't waiting for you. The apples don't fall all that far from the tree. I'm thinking of you, but I'm looking at me. Would you have done things all that much differently? Brushstroke water, color green. Emerald Island lover's scheme, a child's unanswered prayers and dreams. Hourglass turning round and round in rhyme. There's no right side up, there's no upside down this time. Goodbye, little boy blue. World pass you by, it wasn't waiting for you. Brush stroke water, color gray. No one came to see you today.
Thank you, Greg, so much for that reflection. And now is our offertory time. We're going to pass our offertory basket. All donations are gratefully welcomed, and if you make automatic pledge payments, you can place one of the plastic yellow cards into the basket. Also, if you want an offertory contribution to count toward your pledge payment, please put it in an envelope with your name written on it so that we can apply it toward your pledge. Thank you so much. All right, thank you, everyone. Our closing words today are from Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman. And Greg, would you like to read those? Okay.
What do you think has become of the young and old men? And what do you think has become of the women and children? They are alive and well somewhere. The smallest sprout shows there is really no death. And if ever there was, it led forward life and does not wait at the end to arrest it, and ceased the moment life appeared. All goes onward and outward, nothing collapses. And to die is different from what anyone supposed, and luckier. Has anyone supposed it lucky to be born? I hasten to inform him or her it is just as lucky to die, and I know it. I pass death with the dying and birth with the new-washed babe, and am not contained between my hat and my boots, and peruse manifold objects, no two alike and every one good, the earth good and the stars good, and their adjuncts all good. I am not an earth, nor an adjunct of an earth. I am the mate and companion of people, all just as immortal and fathomless as myself. They do not know how immortal, but I know.
Thank you, Greg. That's a good poem. Okay, so we're going to extinguish our chalice. Please join me in reading the words provided for extinguishing our chalice. We extinguish this flame to remind us love is the center. As we explore and rest, engage and heal, love remains the center. When all we can see is cold ashes, love remains. So now is the time for announcements. Does anybody have any announcements they would like to share? Yeah, go ahead, Kevin.
Hi, everyone. Kevin McClooney, Chair of Membership Committee. So on October 6th, we're going to have a new member book signing ceremony. So we've got 4 new members, so that's great news. And I just wanted to see if anybody else is interested in learning more about becoming an official member of the congregation. Just come see me, and I'm happy to talk to you.
Thank you. I'll just do a few more announcements very quickly. Reading group, anti-racism reading group is starting back up September 17th. Tuesday, September 17th is our first meeting to discuss this book, Beyond Welcome, Building Communities of Love. We're going to discuss the first 6 to 8 essays. They're very short essays. So if you're interested, please speak to me or email me. My contact information is in the newsletter. Oh yeah, and we're looking for some board members. So, we'll be reaching out to individuals very, very soon just to check in and see if people are interested. But I just wanted to put in another plug. If you ever wanted to take a really active role in shaping the present and future of this congregation, being on the board is a great way to do it. And we need 2 board members to fill vacancies right now. So speak to me if you're interested, or speak to any of the other board members, Matt, Colleen, Lynn Israel's out of town, but you can talk to her too, or Lisa Merrill Price. Okay, thank you very much. Are there any other announcements, Tina? Okay. So after the closing song, we invite everyone to stay in person for coffee. And then, of course, at 12:15, we will have the grief and loss support group here in the sanctuary. So we'll have a little circle of chairs set up for you here. Okay, so I'm going to set up the piano for our closing song. Go with the song in your heart, and the words are up there, but if you want the tune, it's on the inside front cover of your gray hymnal.